welcome to Beach Quest on the Totally Awesome Fishing Show, where we take you guys off trying to find you some really good shore fishing marks. Today we're down in St Aldridge Reef. Now that's on the West Somerset coastline. I'm down here with Craig Butler from West Coast Tackle. It is a horror story of a march. Well, it's not really, actually, it is for me at my age, but it's one to beware of. Craig, what are we going to catch today? And give the people some tips about fishing this mark, because although it's good, it can be a little bit tricky.
Yeah, hoping for a thornback, Graham. Fingers crossed we'll get one. Last night we had a go, but we didn't see one last night. But on here, there's a good chance fishing over low water on a neap tide on here. Casting off these ledges, like you said a minute ago, is pretty a horror story, and it's probably one of the most dangerous marks we've got along this coastline. But when we're actually out here fishing on these weed-covered rocks, the ledges here give away to a really good depth of water, and you've got a good mix of mud, rock, and stone out there. But hopefully we're aiming to sort of land on the muddy areas where the thornback rays are going to be sort of holed up and feeding, hopefully. Yeah, we're fishing 2 hours either side of low water on here. Predominantly that is the only time you really can fish this mark. 2.5 hours before low water you can't get on it. 2.5 hours after it you'll be phoning 999 asking for the Coast Guard to rescue you. It's as simple as that. Absolutely deadly mark, and in the dark many a good angler have come a cropper on here. It basically fills up behind you at a rate of knots where you can't even see it happening, because it fills up behind you up channel, not the normal way you'd expect it to come in. So got to be pretty careful on here. But you know, fish can feed any time on that 4-hour window when you can be on here, and and occasionally, well, quite often, it's one of those marks where the last 15-20 minutes is absolutely can really fish well. And it's not one of those places you say one last cast, because it will have you. The species you get here, you'll pick up codlin, whiting, dogfish, congers, thornback rays, smoothhounds, bass. They're all rocklin, everything's here. Well, it's not everything, but you know, those fish are predominantly the species you catch here throughout the seasons. I've had a very good friend have a bass well into double figures off here. I've had thornback rays well into double figures, congers into double figures. A lot of my friends have had cod close to double figures, if not double figures off here. No, generally it's a good mark. You've got to put a bit of time, and you could come out here and have nothing. If the fish are not there, they're not there, or if they're there, they're not feeding, and that's it. But generally it's a pretty steady mark, you know. but safety is paramount on here. There's no two ways about it. I would you'd never send anyone out here on their own, or who've never been out here. It'd just be a nightmare. An 80 yard cast, or sort of 75 metre cast, will put you onto the mud out there, clearing the rock and the few ledges which are in front of us. There is a gully right underneath the ledge, because the ledge can drop down to about 9-10 foot in places, and the fish quite often will run into it. And you know, don't count out dropping a bait 10 yards out into the rough rocky bits, even on a sort of a running ledger, to pick out those cod and smoothhounds which run right underneath the ledge. For rig wise, I generally fish a pulley rig on here. Some people prefer sort of a short 8 to 10 inch pulley rig. Obviously that's less chance of getting hung up on the snags, but personally I sort of prefer sort of a 12 to 18 inch one on here, just to give the fish a bit of movement, really, to get the bait in their mouths. But it's got to be a pulley rig on here, just to pull you up out of the snags on the way in, because there is a few ledges out there you need to come over. I'm just going to knock up and prepare a squid and mackerel combination bait. Basically, I've got half a squid tube here, and basically what I like to do with my squid is just get the back of my scissors or a lead or stone or something, and just tenderise it like so. this releases natural oils in the squid, and obviously will enhance the scent trail, which is pretty much an all-important factor up in the Bristol Channel with the murky water. Got a piece of mackerel here, so trim off those fins off the back there. Just going to basically cut that off there. Just fold these two over like so. Lay it on the skin side of the mackerel, because obviously we want the flesh around, that's where the scent is. And just with a bit of fine bait elastic, just lay them on there and just bind it all together. Don't need to go too mental, but just enough to hold it in place. Like there's several baiting tools on the market which you can use to great effect, but you know, pretty much just whip it up with my hands and it's done then. And just a little half hitch knot on there. That's an option, you don't have to do it, I just prefer doing that. And that'll do. Now you've got the mackerel flesh there, you've got the tenderised squid there, and hopefully between the two of that'll pull a ray in, so hopefully.
And that was sandal that time, yeah?
Yeah, sandal and squid wrap. You can see.
You like to use those combo wraps, the two.
Definitely, yeah. You've got a sort of an oily, fishy scent. But you can see that's the sandal down the side of the squid there. But nothing there at all. Not even a crab has had a nibble.
Just look how quickly that the tide is coming in once it starts to flood. It's surging over the top of that outside reef, and this is in a flat calm. You can actually see it flowing around these boulders, filling up the gullies, the cracks, everything that you could be walking over. So do take care. In fact, you really should take Craig's advice.
Getting pushed off the mark now, Graeme. Just fished about an hour and a half, hour and 3/4 up now, and it's sort of seriously time to consider packing up. We've got a gully filling up with water behind us, and within about half an hour we'll be cut off, so we've got to wrap it up now. It's been a bit disappointing. I haven't actually beached a fish, but we've lost a couple of fish and missed a couple of real cracking bites. It's just one of those things. We're going to move up to Lilstock now and fish high water in Lilstock Bay and see how we get on. Also, marks like this, waders, absolute godsend to get in and out of these sort of areas. There's rock pools. One step you could be on dry firm land, and the next step you're going to be plopped straight in knee-deep water, especially when the tide's flooding and the water's sort of coloured and you can't see where you're stepping. One thing I'll notice, studded waders, brilliant for certain marks, absolute nightmare for other marks. This particular mark I don't use studs on because I slip, and it's almost like Bambi on ice. You just slip all over the place. So I've just got normal rubber waders, grip much better. Well, we pushed our luck a little bit here, stayed here for the last minute we can get on the reef before we get cut off, and it's paid off. We've saved a blank, albeit only a little strap conger eel, and it just proves that, you know, just staying on for that last minute can help, but whatever you do, don't put yourself in danger. We've still got 10 minutes before we can get off, but we've got to pack up and get off. And I believe you've got one as well, Graeme, haven't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was a double header just as we were packing up, and I think you've just got the size on me there. So there we go, guys. Beach quest success. Couple of small congers there. The main thing is, if you come out with Craig, you've got a good idea when to pack up, and we cut it really fine. Pleased with these two. Now, of course, Beach Quest is moving to Lilstock.
rather than just bunging them back in the sea, just stick them in a rock pool like so. They can they'll go back in there, and the tide will be coming in a minute, literally a couple of minutes, and they'll be gone back in there. And they're more than happy in there. Not only is it nice, you know, to have a bit of consideration for your catch, it's also quite pleasant to actually watch them swimming around in what is a natural environment.
You can actually see how they want to get under the rocks there.
You can learn a lot about fish by just watching them.
Well, we better go before we get cut off, Craig.
I think so. That's time to go, definitely.
And that mark that Craig's brought us to is just to the east of where we were fishing on St Aldridge Reef, and it's called Lilstock, Lilstock. I fished here many years ago doing articles for the angling magazines. Lovely spot, a boulder covered beach right on the edge of the Somerset countryside. As you can see, beautiful setting. You just walk, you can just park back there. It's proper car parks, all free. One of the few things in life that's free at the moment. Just walk down here, and as you can see, beautiful setting, and the beach is right there, and we hope some fish. So beach quest has moved on. We're at the second mark. Fingers crossed we get set up, and let's see what we can catch. This is the scenery around, well, all of that western Somerset coastline. Fabulous farmland scenery there. You got low cliffs, you got lovely green fields there, and just behind you, this, well, that's where I want to be. It's the beach. Away in the distance you can see there Hinkley Point power station, so everybody will know Lilstock Bay is just a spit and a throw really away from the power station. It's a boulder strewn beach. You can see you need to get yourself a good footing there if you're going to do any sort of distance casting. Be careful of slippery rocks. Now when the tide drops down, those boulders are definitely going to be wet and slippery, but as it comes up, as you can see here, the sun's dried it out, so they're pretty safe to walk over, but you can still twist your ankle, so just be a little bit careful. Set yourself up with a rod rest, and always here just back that drag off a little bit, because it's a renowned big fish mark. Lilstock, even when I fished it, I don't know, 30-40 years ago, was always known it could throw up some big fish. So just undo the drag a little bit, just to make sure that if a really big bass or a ray or a conger grabs hold, you don't get the lot piled over in a big heap, because what happens is the line falls into a heap in amongst those boulders, and you'll probably end up getting chafed and the fish will get away. And of course, I come down West Somerset a lot fishing. If you come down here too much, well, you can get the EBGBs from too much fishing. You end up doing, yes, the Somerset line dance. Watch this. As the tide floods in, that's when you should be looking. Keep an eye on your bait. Anything could happen.
A little tapping away there. Thinking it was a codling, but ended up being a little whiting. So a few of these just starting to show really. You know, it's near the mid end of April now, and still seems to be plenty of these little fellas around. Anyway, we're getting back in the water quickly. Slack line bite, and we think pretty sure it's a thornback.
Yeah, fish out there, he comes.
He's on the surface, he's on his way in.
Okay, I'll get it for you. Nice fish, mate. Well, that was worth the move, Craig.
Definitely, it's about time, you know.
Hey, we were due.
Third mark lucky.
Yeah, nice big ray, that one.
He's not too bad, he might £6 or £7, I guess.
Yeah, he looks a good 7 to me.
Yeah.
Well, get him up and get a decent shot of him.
Yeah, no worries. There we go. At last we got a ray.
That's a big fish too, really,
yeah,
for shore,
not too bad.
shore anglers.
Yeah, it's a female. You know, it's not a rare fish by a long shot along the shoreline here, but you know, bit of a result. Yeah, just early on this morning, just ended up with 2 little strap eels. This is what we was after. Typical Bristol Channel thornback ray. Lovely fish. You know, powerful fish this one.
Bait, Craig, what was he on?
Squid and mackerel, like we showed earlier, on the bait. But this was like the next cast after those 2 eels. So let's try and get the hook out. He's taken it quite a way down, so try and got to be very careful on hooking thornbacks. You get your finger in those crushing pads, that will, you know, it won't do you any favours. Like we've got one out.
Is that one of those Gemini disgorgers?
It is, yeah, absolute godsend. Probably the genius bit of equipment or angling accessory ever produced. Right, this one is.
That's your top pedal hook out the way, yeah?
It is, yeah. And we can see the other one there. It's no problem. It's going to come out easy peasy like that. Easy peasy.
Good job.
Absolute genius design. Absolutely foolproof to use.
All beach anglers should have one.
Oh, 100%. If you haven't got one of them, you're not equipped.
I'm not equipped.
No, you're equipped. I'll sell you one later.
I'll borrow you one.
Usually they don't come in until sort of top of the tide, but there's every chance of another one. But if we don't catch another one, mission successful, really.
Absolutely, worth the move. Well worth the move.
Yeah, brilliant. But yeah, it's quite a thick, heavy fish, but. Working in a tackle shop, I get quite a bit of feedback from a lot of my customers regarding the price of bait and it gets quite expensive. Now, that is one thing. I would sort of beg to differ that bait is expensive when you pay a couple of quid for a bag of mackerel or a few quid for a bag of squid. What is more important is the way you look after it. Now, you can go out fishing, buy yourself a pack of mackerel, bag of squid, a pack of sand eels. You're talking 7-8 quid. Yeah, that's 7-8 quid's worth of your money, like. And at the end of the day, you possibly will end up chucking it away or moaning that the bait you've got is absolutely rubbish. Now, I've been on both ends of this, the flip side of this coin. One, my customers will come back and complain their mackerel's all mushy and horrible and nasty, their squid's all pink and stinking, after they've been out fishing on a nice hot day like today. That's basically what it comes down to, looking after your bait. Now, a few tips which you need to sort of take on board if you want to keep your bait in good condition, and believe me, good bait is a key to catching good fish. One thing, cool bags. They come in various forms. You can get them from a supermarket for a few quid, or you can buy a specialised branded one from a tackle shop. This one being the IMAX one, absolutely fantastic. I've had this for best part of 5 years now. As long as you keep the metal zips oiled with a bit of WD-40, lasts for ages. Now, in there, you can't just chuck it in there and hope for the best. What I like to do is, got me squid, I take it out, when I bring it out fishing, it'll be wrapped in paper to keep it cool. Now, while I'm fishing, I'll take a squid out, then I'll wrap it back up, keep it in some paper, and pack it in here. You can have the aids of the blue cool packs, freezer blocks, to keep it cool in there, which I highly recommend you do that in the summer. But for a general 4-hour session, a few good wrappings of newspaper in a cool bag, way to go. But that was the freezer baits covered, and it's exactly the same for worm baits. Now, if you go to the tackle shop, and worms are expensive, there's no two ways about it. Live bait is extortionate prices, and if you're paying £8 for half a pound of worm or whatever you're paying for it, you go out on a hot summer's day, take it down fishing, wrapped up in newspaper, which it generally comes from the tackle shop wrapped up. Take it out fishing, it gets chucked around in your bag, in your box, squashed, battered, cooked in the sun, and then it's no good. So what good tip I do is, as soon as I get my worms, I'll make sure I've got plenty of soil with them. Don't think your tackle shop's going to sell you a handful of peat and charge you £16 a pound for mud. It's not. You know, you'll get your worms and mud on top, and that is the key to keeping them on the beach. Personally, I prefer a maggot box lined in paper. It must be lined in paper. If you go and sticking them straight into a metal box, you're asking for trouble, and you'll end up going back to your tackle dealer and saying those worms you sold me were rubbish, when they weren't. It was the way you looked after them. So a good lining of paper, plenty of peat. A maggot box like that will comfortably fit half a pound of worms in. That's a 2-pint maggot box, and half a pound of rag will probably only fill it at halfway, so the other half is for soil. Now in there's lots of soil, the ragworm, and then to transport it and to store it during the day, a little bit of paper on the top, your lid on top, and again that can go in here. One thing I will stress, you do not want to keep the worms near anything too cold. If you was to put those worms in a bait box with a packet of squid not wrapped up, the heat, the coldness of that will kill your worms. So it's important to find the right balance between keeping your ragworm cool and not getting it too cold. And also lugworm is another worm, very expensive and can be tricky to keep, but generally it's as hard as you want to make it. Lugworm, generally you buy them straight from your tackle dealer. They keep them in trays in water or in trays in the fridge. They get weighed out, wrapped in newspaper and handed to you. Now that's fine. You can keep those wrapped in newspaper 2 or 3 days, not an issue. What is an issue is keeping them in the right condition. Lovely hot sunny day today. If we had gone to the tackle shop on the way here this morning and brought 16 quid's worth of lugworm, straight out of the tackle shop, wrapped up in paper, brought them down to the beach, left them on the stones in the sun, by now, halfway through the session, dead. It just, you know, waste of money basically. But just keeping those, again, in a cool box, in with a thing, with it cool, they will last, and if there's any, they will last all day, and if there's any left, you can take them home, rewrap them, and they'll be alright, fine for another day. One thing, unlike the ragworm, which is sensitive to cold temperatures, the lugworm will tolerate a bit of that. So you could keep your ragworm, or your lugworm, sorry, wrapped up in paper, in your cool box, next to a bag of squid, and they'll be fine. If you put it anywhere, the ragworm anywhere near cold bait, cold frozen bait, they'll just get hypothermia and they'll just fall to pieces and be dead.
Whereas one thing that we like here on Beach Quest, and especially after catching a nice fish like Craig just caught, and that's a little bit of home comfort, some creature comforts, and somebody, other than building this concrete drainage pipe, has taken the trouble to build here a nice screen of wall, perfectly for sun trap. Even better, I've now constructed a clear patch, and I've got an armchair with some nice elbow pads. I've cleared all the stones away. I've got my elbow pads. I'm all set. I've got a huge concrete windbreak here, so I'm off the wind. My rods are just there. You can see perfectly positioned to strike, and also a beautiful suntan's on the way as well. All I need is a fish and I'm in heaven. Especially if I shut my eyes and I don't see the bite.
And there we go. Up over those boulders comes, yes, a nice little codling there for Craig. Especially in the springtime, down the Bristol Channel, you can get some really good cod fishing down there off the shore. I mean, there's so many down there at times, do you actually need to go out in the boat? There's good sport down there, and as the seasons change, you get nice big rays, you get conger eel, you can get some bass, get some school bass, but you can also get some really good bass. And as you can see here, a lot of the time down there, they even put the cod back as well. And that's the type of bait you want. Plenty of juice, plenty of smell. I've actually got a little lead lift there that I found down on their beach, on one of the other beaches, if you remember. I found a bit of a plastic sort of lead lift they made there, and that also can help you get up and away from those boulders. But if you can get out far enough and you can reach the sand, you're going to be okay. But don't forget, as the tide pushes you back, you're going to find you have to cast longer and longer distances, enabling you to keep that bait on the sand, which is where the maximum number of fish are going to be.
There we go. Just to finish up, a little dogfish. Just move that lead out of the way so knock your head there. So yeah, just to finish off with a little bit of a tapping away for the last few minutes, and had my suspicions, and I was right. There's a little dogfish on there. So fancied a bit of ragworm. Can't beat a doggy.
Better than nothing.
Better than nothing. But we've had a good day today. We've had cod, a few codling, codling, whiting, dogfish, thornback ray,
small conger.
Small conger. Pretty sure you lost a bass.
Yeah, head shaking was definitely.
Yeah, pretty sure that was a bass, but we'll never know really.
And eventually, even the cameraman got in on some fishy action. Yes, it might just be a humble dogfish, but it is still a fish worth catching. And as you can see there, I've got a multitude of hook baits on there. You can have a bit of sandal, a bit of crab. Down there in that coloured water, you really, really do need to get some scent in the water, because I'm sure it's almost 100% smell that those fish are homing in on. If you do start winding in, make sure, even if you're not at all certain there's a fish on the end, just crank like crazy and keep whatever it is coming, because you just will not get your lead back if you don't get it up in the water. And there we go, on the pulley rig you can see the lead at the top and another nice dogfish at the bottom. Everything's nice and clear, it's untangled, and that one looks like he's taken a little bit of sandal there, possibly I've tipped it off with a bit of ragworm or lugworm. So it shows you down here there's some great fishing. And although people malign dogfish, listen, as Craig said earlier, it'd be a very sad world if we didn't have dogfish to catch. It is, after all, a fish worth catching if there's nothing else about.
Well, there we go, by making that move with Craig from St Aldridge Bay Reef, the low water mark, down here to a high water mark at Lealstock. You can see we've managed to capitalise on the area, get the best of the tides, the best of the fishing. Craig got a really nice thornback ray there. I lost a really nice bass. I think it felt like a sort of 4-pound bass. You could tell by the hard head shaking and banging on the rod. I don't think it was a codling. I had a codling, Craig had codling, dogfish, whiting. Been a good session. It just goes to show you, here on Beach Quest, we keep looking to try and get you guys the tips and techniques to find the best fishing places we can. So thanks for watching the Totally Awesome Fishing Show, and we'll see you again on the beach on Beach Quest. I've got to pack up. I don't really want to, but maybe one last cast.